Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. Francis Ngannou sounds very confident, not just of beating Anthony Joshua, but of getting the rematch with Tyson Fury. He almost makes the Joshua fight sound like it's a sort of pit stop on the way to the rematch with Fury. He spoke to MMA Hour, whatever that is. I'm reading quotes from that interview. I didn't actually listen to it or watch it or whatever. But he said, no one still knows what I can do. That was my first fight in boxing, meaning obviously the Fury fight. As anyone, I'm just improving, and the gap of improvement for a beginner like me, it's huge. I'm just a beginner improving. Now, there's a lot of truth in that, because when you start out, you make, quantum leaps, or you can do if you're dedicated and you've got enough natural talent. It's when you get to the very top that the difference between, the winner and the loser can be a fraction of a percent. But he talks about Joshua, and he says, I think I'm most likely knocking Joshua out. I think that he's easier to go down than Fury, meaning he gets knocked over easier. I mean, not that he's not a strong fighter. He's a very tough fighter, but he's easier to send down than Fury. And it's harder for him to get back up than Fury. Now, again, I wouldn't disagree with that, because I don't think Joshua's got a China chin, which a lot of people do have. Normally people that don't understand boxing. But I certainly think that when he's hurt, he takes a lot longer to recover than Fury does. I mean, Fury doesn't have a great chin either. I don't think Joshua's chin is any worse than Fury's. I think what happens is when Joshua gets hurt, he takes rounds to get over it. Fury can get over it within a minute or two, maybe even less. At least that's true in the past. Maybe different. A lot of people have said that, Fury's punch resistance may be on the wane. There was a very interesting Martin Bacoli interview. Bacoli has been in camp with Fury, and he says, he's got to read between the lines of a lot of what he says, but he was talking about Fury, not being motivated for the Ngannou fight, and he seemed to imply that Fury is past his best anyway. As someone who was in camp with Fury, I think on more than one occasion he's been in camp with him. He's certainly there for the Ngannou fight. It seems to be a case of he seems to be wanting to say more than he actually does, but he's certainly strongly implying that Fury is past his best and maybe his punch resistance is going. I suppose that remains to be seen against Usyk. But Ngannou is not disrespectful of Joshua. He says, he's talking about the Wallin fight. He said, Joshua, looked amazing. Congratulations to him. He was doing his job properly. His speed was there. He looked sharp, very sharp. But on the other hand, I think there wasn't a response in front of him, meaning Wallin wasn't offering much back. I think I will have a better response in front of him that will put him not in such comfortable positions and situations. Things will change. Things will be different. I will not stand there and just look at him. No, it's going to be different. I'm going to throw some bombs out there, and he's going to be mindful of what he's doing. So in other words, I'm going to make him think twice before he tries to have his wicked way like he did against Wallin. Yeah, that's true. That's what you've got to do. You've got to make the other guy fight your fight. And Ngannou, even though he's 37, I think? He's a big, strong, tough unit. I think Joshua, if he goes in there with a level of confidence, a decent level of confidence, and uses his skills, and don't forget Joshua's been busy. He had 3 fights last year, and he's active because he just beaten Wallin. If he goes in there, uses his skills, and just concentrates on outboxing Ngannou, and it's a 10-rounder, I think he'll beat him up and stop him. But it's not a foregone conclusion, not when you consider that Ngannou is so physically strong, hits hard. It's feasible, it's feasible that, as you said earlier, he's making his big step up, giant step leaps forward, as every novice does who's dedicated and who has talent. And Ngannou, I think, has, from what I've read and from what a couple of people have told me, and I'm no MMA expert. In fact, I'm a pure casual. But Ngannou does have some background in boxing training. I think when he first moved to France, didn't he start off by by studying Queensberry rules boxing before he moved into kickboxing and MMA or something. Again, you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but I've definitely read that in a few places and been told by a few people that he does have some boxing schooling that goes way back. So he's not an entire novice. And when you're that experienced in combat sports, there are some common denominators, some comparisons that can be made. But with regard to Fury, Ngannou says, it's going to happen. He talks about a rematch. There's Fury and Alexander Usyk coming up, even though we've spoken about it. There's Fury and Usyk going on, and the Joshua fight was like an opportunity. I was waiting for Fury, but this was the opportunity I was happy to take. So again, he's almost implying this is an interim bout almost. This guy's got some confidence. I like it. At the end of the day, this won't take anything away from the Fury rematch. And I think there's a slight chance that the right away is the Usyk rematch. So I think what he's trying to say there is that Fury and Usyk fight once, then they'll have a rematch. So I guess Francis is thinking, well, I've got to keep busy. What better way than to take on Anthony Joshua? He's talking about, because I think their term is even closer. Our rematch term was 1 year, within 1 year, which is still going to be October of this year. So Francis is saying that the rematch between him and Fury had to be within a year, but that Fury's rematch clause with Usyk is a shorter stipulation. So, yeah, okay, I think I know what he's saying there. But have a think about this, because this guy, let's say Joshua beats him, all right, and then he fights a rematch. Let's say that Joshua beats him on points and it's competitive, quite a competitive fight. And then Francis goes and fights Fury again and has another competitive fight and is, outpointed, let's say. He could end up as a world-ranked heavyweight with a record of 0 wins and 3 defeats. I mean, this is what we've come to, this whole crossover MMA, UFC thing. And I mean, just the weird thing is, if he has 3 competitive fights, 2 against Fury and 1 against Joshua, even if he loses all 3, can you deny him being ranked in the top 30? I mean, okay, he'd have lost all 3, but look at the opposition. This is not a guy who's racked up, 20 consecutive wins against journeyman. This is a guy who's taken on the absolute best. Boxing world's gone mad, which is no surprise because the world outside of boxing is pretty crazy. In 2024 now, I can't believe the world we live in. It's just logic, common sense, reason, fact, science has all gone out the window in favour of lunacy. So it seems in so many respects of modern society. Why would boxing be any different? So anyway, a few thoughts about Francis Ngannou, who is riding high on confidence. And I'm told he's always been a confident guy, and why wouldn't he be? He's a very, very talented guy. But yeah, I still make Joshua an absolute favourite to win. But interesting. He's an interesting addition to the heavyweight scene. And like I say, I barely knew who the guy was before he fought Fury, and he made a believer out of me to some extent, even though I think Fury definitely won that fight. Francis is he's intriguing. He's intriguing, and I would definitely watch him. And good luck to the guy. He's getting paid a ton of money as opposed to crumbs off the banquet table with regards to UFC and that slag Dana White. So yeah, good luck to the guy. He's making serious money. He's fighting the best. He's certainly not ducking anyone, is he? What do you think? Comments below as always. I'm intrigued to know what you think. Maybe you know more about Francis and UFC than I do. And yeah, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And as always, thanks for your time. I'm looking forward to reading your comments. And take care. Bye for now.